What are you seeing and reading and hearing about as it relates to electric fleets and industrial
Yeah.
buildings?
It's a whole lot of talk,
Yeah,
not a lot of action.
right. Welcome to our Industrial Advisors podcast. You have Bill Condon and Matt McGregor. We have a 5-minute Friday today and talking really about trucking and transportation and how it relates to industrial buildings.
Yes, an electric, primarily.
Yes, primarily the electric fleet. And you study this stuff and look at it a lot. So like, what
I
do you
geek out
see?
on a little bit.
Yeah. What are you seeing and reading and hearing about as it relates to electric fleets and industrial buildings?
It's a whole lot of talk,
Yeah,
not a lot of action.
right.
Right. So I talked to a lot of developers because I've been waiting. This is like third podcast we've talked about it in a couple of years. And if you listen to the one a couple of years ago, we would have thought by now you'd be seeing fleets. We're not. Right. And so then you get into it and you go, well, what about the spec buildings? What are they doing? Right. What is our spec buildings doing? Right. They're putting conduit in. Right. But they're not running the power for a few reasons. Number one, the power is not there.
Right.
We're having a power problem.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you take a 500,000 footer like we're building in Sumner and you run the power and you say, hey, we're going to need a ton of employee parking for AV cars. We're going to need long haul truck drivers to recharge in the future. Because remember, when you build these buildings, you don't build them for 10 years. You're building for 50 or 60.
Correct.
Okay. So if the current legislation is right, we would be requiring a lot of these to convert over. So you have to look at it. Right. So if you need a truck fleet plus your delivery fleet into the local market to power that building would be about 16,000 extra amps. Okay. So the power companies are already tied on power. They're not going to just pipe it in there and go, maybe you're going to use it 10 years down the road. So right now on the spec buildings, they're really putting conduit in. And then I'll say one other thing on that's interesting is right now, and I've got my first electric car, right?
Yeah.
Right now on electric cars, there's really two hookups. There's Tesla and everything else. In trucking, there's 9 or 10 different plug-in. So you can't just put a spec one in.
No.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. I didn't realize that there was 9 or 10 different. Yeah.
No. And the infrastructure is not built out for them. So on deliveries, for example, those trucks have to go back to power up.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they're more expensive than gas vehicles. And that's why Amazon and other people haven't totally gone over there because these vehicles are way heavier. And so they're not only worse on roads, they're worse on tires, they're worse on brakes. Brakes are way worse for the environment than gas. All the stuff that gets released from brakes and stuff. So for all these reasons, these companies are not just rushing out, changing the fleets over.
Right. And we're seeing, so, on the industrial side, when it got super tight, we were obviously seeing some retrofits of existing buildings. And we haven't really seen the shift on fitted buildings at all. But to your point,
only the car parks.
but not on the trucks, and we're starting to see it a little bit, as you mentioned, on the new spec industrial buildings. But you just did a good job of describing what that looks like.
Yeah, the final thing I'll throw out there, and it's the same thing on boats. Why people aren't buying the battery powered boats? You can go buy a Peterbilt, right, a semi, for about a third of the price of that equal semi in electric, but it's way cheaper to operate, right?
Yeah.
And it's not effective because of the charging stations, that's not built out. So it's just not there. So I guess to close it up, hey, they're building it with the conduit there empty.
Yeah.
Going out to the truck courts, going to in front of the dock high doors thing, building it for the infrastructure. But the question, it's really questionable what that future is going to hold, where if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said, all these buildings are going to be built out. But man, it's a complex issue.
Yeah. And it seems like, Prologis certainly spends a lot of time and resources into being cutting edge and looking at this stuff. So if we really wanted to take a deep dive into this and do a full episode, we could get somebody from Prologis on here and really dive into it.
That's right.
But talk about the pilot projects with Walmart via Highway 10 between the ports of LA, Long Beach, and Phoenix.
Yeah, Walmart has been doing stuff down there since 2016. So they started with autonomous trucks, but it would have a driver just sitting there just in case, plus a pilot car in front and back. And through time, they've released less and less regulation on it because there hasn't been wrecks. It's been productive, right?
Yeah.
But they're still not doing that just by autonomous trucks. So 9 years later, they're still testing it,
Right.
but it's still not autonomous trucks delivering even simply from Port of LA Long Beach into Phoenix, which is that route on Highway 10 that is just crazy with trucks
Right.
coming in and out of the port. So they still have not progressed to the autonomous trucks.
So what do you think the future looks like on that topic?
I mean, look, I would say it's a slower progression than getting rid of lumberjacks, right?
Right.
Getting rid of long haul truck drivers. I mean, your dad was one, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a longer progression because of the technology and the infrastructure is not there, right? I could see autonomous gas trucks way in advance because you're seeing that Waymo, taxi and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to see that long haul before you see the localized delivery ones that really impact the areas, because the localized delivery ones, the batteries and the vehicles don't make sense yet.
Right.
So you're going to see the autonomous ones, but they've been testing it for a long time, but it's such a slow progression.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were going through Michigan State, getting our masters, like that was a big topic. Was
Totally.
autonomous
And
trucking.
it hasn't changed much.
No, it hasn't. That's my point. Is
Yeah.
It hasn't changed a lot since then.
That's
so
right.
so really
Slow
fast.
progression.
Yeah, really fascinating to keep an eye on. Not only like what is spec build, like development of spec buildings, and what that looks like over the next 5 years as it relates to autonomous trucking and electric vehicles and trucks as well. It'll be interesting sitting here 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road to see how that progression looks.
I totally agree. Look forward to the next one, but it's a slow progression.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.